In this video, I will share with you the most powerful reality transurfing technique that will absolutely change your life. Hi, this is Sunny from PersonalMasteryQuest.com, and today I want to share with you a reality transurfing principle that can very quickly start changing your life. And here it is. The world is a mirror that reflects your relationship to it. If you turn your back against the world, it will turn its back on you. If you fight the world, it will continue to fight you. But you become free once you end the battle. You might not understand the magnitude of that statement, so let me explain it more clearly. The world and your life is your mirror, and it directly reflects your relationship to it. Meaning you could change your life and change the world that you look at by changing the way you look at it. And you can change your life by changing the relationship that you have with it. Your life will transform when you change the lens that you look at it through. And it will change when you change the way you react to everything that is happening around you and to you. When you end the constant battle, the world will literally fall at your feet. Now, I know you might still be confused, so let's dive deeper into this and get more into detail. When you train yourself to react positively to every single thing that happens to you, you change the lens at which you look at life through, which is your perception. And when your perception changes, your entire world will literally change because perception is what controls everything. Your perception controls and influences every single outcome of every single event that happens in your life. See, when things don't go according to plan, your mind completely freaks out, right? It starts to produce unsettling and fearful thoughts fueled with anxiety. And this makes you lose control over the way you act. And then you start to act accordingly to those negative thoughts and emotions. You then begin to have contracted awareness. And then you start looking at the world as a threatening place and you start to fight against it. This only makes the world fight back against you. Within this process, you unconsciously make a choice to live in a hostile world where all these negative events are always happening to you. And by law, the world reciprocates what you yourself chose and becomes hostile. But what if I told you there's a better choice? What if I told you that if you change the way that you react to the things that are happening to you, that you will literally change your life? What if I told you you don't have to struggle and go through a lot of negativity in order to live a beautiful life? See, your mind looks at uncertainty with fear. It takes everything that doesn't go according to plan and labels it as bad. It does this because the mind is not connected to the alternative space. The alternative space is the realm of all possibilities. And because the mind has no connection to the alternative space, it takes everything that wasn't according to its plan and labels it as bad and negative, and it completely freaks out. It has no way of predicting the future and know what is to come. So when when things deviate off the plan that it has in its, in itself right now, it completely freaks out. And then that's where all those fearful emotions and thoughts come. The mind labels things as good or bad or failure and success solely based on if they were part of the original plan. But let me ask you a question. How can you solely rely on your mind to take you where you have never been before? The mind only knows what already has been and what already is. It does not know what is yet to come. So let me ask you a question. How can you rely on the mind solely? How can you solely rely on the mind to take you where you have never been to before? How could you possibly rely on the mind to tell you what is good or bad for your future? Simple, you cannot. Your mind does not have access to that information. Only your heart does, because it is directly connected to the alternative space, the realm of all possibilities. And your heart knows exactly how to take you from where you are to where you want to go. And that is why it doesn't freak out when things don't go according to plan. Because as the mind can't conceive as to why what just happened could possibly be positive for you. But think about it this way. If you want to go somewhere you have never been before, you're going to have to go through some things that you have never been through before. And when you go through those things, the mind will freak out, but the heart will always know that those things are essential, that those things are setting you up to reach that end picture that you have in your mind right now. With the knowledge of this principle comes true power, because now when something bad happens or something, not according to plan happens, you won't freak out. You won't go straight to the mind. Now you can attune to to the power of your heart and know that what is happening can potentially be a positive for you in the future, and certainly will be if you give it that meaning. By doing this, you retain your innate power to create a positive and abundant future, the one that you actually want. Always remember, the outcome of a situation doesn't necessarily depend on the situation itself, but instead it depends on your relationship to that situation. If you fight against that situation, it will fight against you, and it will give you a million reasons to fight against it. But if you simply accept and allow that situation to just be in your life and take it from there on, give it a positive meaning and, move on, that situation will reward you in the future. Here are 2 ways that you can start practicing this in your life right now and start seeing results straight away. Number 1, this is a reality transurfing technique called coordination. This is how it works. Any single time anything bad happens to you, anything that it wasn't according to plan happens to you, react to it positively. This will enable you to break through the destructive, negative energy of the pendulum, retain your freedom of choice, and transform that the thing that happened to you into something positive for your life. This will absolutely change your perspective and life rather quickly. You can even try this with very little things around throughout your day. So anytime you come up against something that frustrates you, annoys you, irritates you, or invokes anger from within you, literally wake up right then and there and remember what is happening, and remember that the power that you have in that moment. In that moment, you have to realize that a destructive pendulum is trying to provoke an emotional response from within you so it could hook onto you. And in that moment, you have to realize that you have the power to play the pendulum's game, break the rules, and react to it in a way that it is not expecting you to react, in a positive manner. When you react positively to bad things that happen to you throughout your day, you transform those bad things into something positive for your future. Your mind will not be able to conceive at all how that event could possibly be turned positive, and you really won't be able to tell how this will happen at that moment, but you have to trust the process. You have to trust your heart, because as long as you attribute a positive meaning to it, it will turn into a positive thing for you. Additionally, you also receive the energy of the pendulum that tried to provoke an emotional response from within you. But because you didn't act negatively to the pendulum, you actually retain the energy that it used to try to get you to react. And this only makes you stronger. You also have to realize that every event that occurs in your life goes off into 2 branches. Both branches represent a lifeline. One is positive and one is negative. When an event occurs in your life and you fight against it and perceive it to be negative, and you give it a negative meaning, life will fight back and indeed turn that or transform that event into something negative for your future. You also take the negative branch and go onto a lifeline where more negative events just like that one exist already, are in abundance. And because of this, you suffer, you experience more pain, and you continue to be stuck in that negative energy of that negative lifeline. But if that same event occurred to you and you allowed it and accepted it and perceived it to be positive, gave a positive meaning to it, life would have reflected that relationship and turned that event into something positive for your future. You would have also embarked on that positive lifeline where more positive events would have occurred and are in abundance. So you see, it's not about any event that actually occurs in our life, but instead purely about how we react and respond to that event. By doing this and practicing this through even like the littlest things throughout your day, you can create this into a superpower for yourself. By doing this, you can even turn the smallest things into something that is actually very positive for your life. This brings us to number 2. Since life is your mirror, when you find something missing in your life, try to find the cause of it within yourself and heal that part of yourself. By doing so, the external will heal itself. For example, if you think that people don't love you enough and appreciate you enough or treat you well enough, really think about how you treat yourself. Really think about how if you show yourself enough love. Consider if you treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Oftentimes, we are so self-critical that the lens that we look at ourselves through is projected onto others, and others start to look at us how we look at ourselves. So if you constantly look at yourself through a harsh lens, always criticizing your negative qualities, always bashing on yourself, looking at yourself as someone who's not worthy, or doesn't deserve the love and respect that you actually desire, then others will start to look at you the same way. So if you continue to be hard on yourself and only focus on your negative qualities, others will most likely do the same. But if you neglect your bad qualities and focus on your good qualities and change that lens that you look at yourself through and start, appreciating and appraising your good qualities, others will likely do the same. This is the way to change the way that others look at you. Change the way you look at yourself. This is the same way to change how others treat you. Change the way that you treat yourself. After all, how can you expect others to treat you well and love you and appreciate you and admire you if you don't admire yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't treat yourself well? Therefore, love yourself as much as you want others to love you. Treat yourself like you want others to treat you. Don't be so self-critical and just always hate your negative qualities. Instead, focus on what is good about you. Focus on all the good things that you have. Accept and appreciate yourself the way you are. Focus on your strengths, and others will reciprocate that and look at you in that same manner. So I hope this video helps. This is definitely one of my favorite principles from Reality Transurfing. If you have any questions about it, leave it in the comment section below. You can also access this full blog post from the description box. Just click the link. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe right here, and I will see you next time.